Hello, welcome to another Save Your Books video. This one, or rather this entire series, because I'm going to go through the entire process to restore this little nutshell library that has been in, something I've had for a long time. The slipcase is falling apart, and mostly what's wrong with it is the dust jackets are broken. Pieces are missing, and one of them is missing entirely. And one of my questions that I was asking myself as I was working on this is, why not just buy a new one, right? Why not just buy a new one? So I bought a new one. Here it is. This is the new one. Nothing wrong with that. It wasn't that expensive. But it doesn't have the same feeling, and it doesn't have the same nostalgia for me. And I noticed that it's very monotone, the colors. And so this older edition, it's, by the way, not a first edition, because the first edition covers, the cloth was a salmon color. So not a first edition, but still an earlier edition. And I find that the covers are slightly different in coloration, and this is nicer to me. And I think that the interior, let's see, I'll find a same page in here. Let's see. So here's the original, or the one that I have, not a first edition, but there's that. And let's find April in here. And so here's the newer one. And once again, you can see the colors are just a little different, but that's kind of just the feeling you get. And so it's worth it to me to take the time to restore this book that's, this little set of books that's mine. And it's going to take a while. It's worth it to me. And you might make a different decision. I actually looked online and found another older edition for like, $32. I think it might have even been a first, which was kind of crazy. Not in the greatest shape, so you could restore that one. Once again, you have to decide, what do you want to do? And so anyway, so I've got this. And there are some things we need to know before we even start repairing something that's been in a slipcase. Because if you're repairing any books and then you're going to put them back in the slipcase, you have to know that they're going to fit. And so adding new material to the new books is, don't do a lot, have it be really minimal. Because otherwise, when you've finished repairing all the little books and you try and put them in, then they won't fit. And I've actually had that problem. I wind up having to break the box open and repair the box even more, which makes it stronger and it'll last longer. So that's not such a terrible thing, but never repair the slipcase first. Always do the little books first. Make sure they're going to fit. Just always keep that in mind. Where is this going to end up? Okay, so that's kind of where we're going. So I'm going to do this part later. And the main thing that's wrong with this is there's some cracked pages there, or paper, and the whole slip casing is just a little bit apart there. It's going to be tricky to get that to go back together, but totally possible. So that'll be nice. One of my books is missing a dust jacket entirely. And it's one of the reasons why I decided to buy the newer version of this little set, because I thought to myself, well, I can just either take this dust jacket from this book and put it on this book, which is called Marrying. So it's moving the dust jacket from here to here. And then I was like, or I could just make a copy of this. These are tiny. It'll be really easy to just make a copy of this and then put it on here. And then what I'm doing is I'm making a facsimile. And it's not even a facsimile of, you know, a first edition or an original. It's a facsimile of this newer version. And so it should be really obvious compared to these other original dust jackets. It'll look really different. And so I'm not too worried about notating that, except that I think for every time you make a facsimile dust jacket, which people are doing, that is a thing people do, but I really think that you should write down facsimile on the inside of your new thing that you've made. I actually talk about that in my book that I wrote, Book Restoration Unveiled. Sorry, it's all backwards and stuff. But in chapter 7, I talk about facsimiles, sophistications, and fraud. And there's actually a whole nother chapter on dust jackets and this kind of thing. So if you want to know more about that, I recommend my book. Why not? And yeah, so one of the questions is for the dust jacket printing, what do you print it on? And I'm going to make sure that I have archival paper. I might even do it on some sekishu, which is a very thin, tissuey kind of paper. That's what this is right here. Because, as I said, I don't want to add a lot of bulk into the slipcase when I'm all done. So I might make a copy on the sekishu, make a new copy on some antique end leaf, which is a kind of a paper that is archival. And I'm going to see, you know, what I feel about it, and you know, trim it all down, put it on the book, and we're gonna go through that whole process as we go along. I'll probably make the copies ahead of time and then show you what I've done, because it's not hard to make a copy. I think we all know how to do that. Yeah, so that's where I'm going with all this. I'm actually going to keep this live video pretty short today, and then I'm going to come back and I think we'll do some color touch-up on these, and so we'll be able to talk about that. And if you have any questions, please ask in the chat, especially ahead of time. I can't actually see the chat on my screen, don't know why, but I will respond as I post this and try and address any of your questions the next time I come up live, which I believe I'm going to be doing Thursday mornings. So show up. I'm going to keep doing this until it's all done. And thank you for joining me. And you can subscribe, but even more important than subscribing is tell somebody about Save Your Books. That's how creative endeavors get traction and keep moving along. So anyway, I really appreciate you all for being here. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next time.